Hello guys, Cartoon Retro Boy 64 is here, and you are not expecting a video game review in a while because I have not uploaded another video game review since like 2023. So I'm gonna give you guys a proper review of a SpongeBob game, and today we're gonna talk about the most overhated SpongeBob game in my opinion. And no, it's not Revenge of the Flying Dutchman. I already reviewed it. Honestly, I already reviewed that game on my channel. So I think that's the second most overhated game. There's only two overhated SpongeBob games. Actually, there's actually probably at least around, three, at least three overhated I think, no, two actually. There's only two SpongeBob games I think that are overhated by the fan base. One is Revenge of the Flying Dutchman, which is the second most, and the first one being SQUAREPANTIS. Yes, we're talking about, we're gonna be talking about the most overhated SpongeBob game in my opinion. Atlantis SQUAREPANTIS. Yes, I think this game is actually overhated, honestly. And there is a couple reasons why, but I'll get to that when we talk about we'll talk about the story of this game because it's basically the same as the special. We'll talk about the gameplay of this game, talk about the structure of this game, talk about the progression, talk about what makes it different from the other SpongeBob games, and what it does basically for itself, and talk about the extra bonuses, music, stuff like that. So let's get with the story. So basically, I'm gonna give you guys the simplest way I can talk about this game overall. It's about SpongeBob and Patrick going to Atlantis with Squidward and Mr. Krabs and Sandy going along, tagging along, and they explore Atlantis and go through different rooms. And SpongeBob Patrick wants to see the Lotus Live bubble. Mr. Krabs wants to go in the Atlantis's treasure room. Sandy wants to go in the science room, and Squidward wants to go to the art room. And while Plankton goes into the tank room. So that's the simplest story of That's the simplest way I can talk about SQUAREPANTIS, because I'm not going to drag on this review like I did with the special. So yeah, that's basically the story of SQUAREPANTIS. It's basically characters going to a new location and exploring it, basically. And the game is basically the same as the special, basically, when it comes to story-wise. The cutscenes also does have some questionable oddities that is pretty much weirdly weird. For example, in the first cutscene in the second level's first cutscene, it shows SpongeBob blowing a bubble, and it shows that SpongeBob has Atlantean bubble soap, and I want in a bottle at least, soap bottle, Atlantean soap bottle. This is never explained in the game because I think it's because this is an early draft of what the actual episode was, honestly. Maybe this was in the original, one of the earliest drafts of the episode, but it was never explained, so they cut it out from the actual episode and put it in the game. That's just my theory. But most of the story is exactly the same as the actual episode. So yeah, that's kind of something. Anyway, let's move on. So, another thing that SQUAREPANTIS does is, well, okay, so yeah, that's basically the story of SQUAREPANTIS. So, how's the game structured as, if you're wondering? So, the structure of SQUAREPANTIS overall is questionable. It's basically an action-adventure minigame collection, filled with 14 levels that has different gameplay styles, sort of like Creature from the Krusty Krab all over again. But except there's no platforming stages. Except this time they're replaced by these maze puzzle levels that are top down, and you have to figure out puzzles between two characters that you're controlling as. And then there's some levels where you're shooting something. You're going around taking photos in two levels. There's rhythm levels in this game. One is based around the being singing around in the bus. One is about going in a tour to Atlantis to the insides of Atlantis, And then there's also there's another one where you are as Squidward Squidward, being in the art room and doing poses, and you have to like mash buttons to you basically are just like just doing poses so the Atlantean people can, you know, take your can do your artwork and stuff. There's also a level. There's another rhythm level where you go inside as Plankton and sneak into Atlantis, basically into the tank room itself too. And then there's also this level. There's also these tank mission levels where you go around in Plankton's tank and shooting stuff. And then there's also this driving stage where you're driving in the Atlantean bus to Atlantis after it crash landed in the garden. And then there's also one more gameplay style, a first-person shooter, where you use Squidward, where Sandy is using Squidward as a weapon to shoot up the guards and stuff, with some good music, honestly, which I'll talk about the music in this game later on. But that's basically the different gameplay styles of Atlantis SQUAREPANTIS. But what about gameplay? Like I said gameplay-wise, it's basically an action-adventure minigame collection with different gameplay styles and different gameplay style. Yeah, gameplay. It's basically different gameplay styles all over the place. And I will say this game is kind of more fleshed out when it comes to gameplay styles, different gameplay styles compared to Creature from the Krusty Krab, in my opinion. Because so I know that's gonna pretty much upset a lot of people who like Creature from the Krusty Krab, but let me guys give you this straight. I love Creature from the Krusty Krab a lot. It has a lot of good gameplay styles, and I think it has a lot of that good charm. But I will admit that I wish they could just like focus on one gameplay style before going to the next one, honestly. Because I feel like that would have made the game much more better, in my opinion, honestly. But I think SQUAREPANTIS still, while it being a downgrade from Creature, I still think it flashes out its gameplay styles much better than Creature from the Krusty Krab does, honestly. So I know like I said, I know that's gonna upset a lot of people who like Creature from the Krusty Krab, but still, I just kind of prefer how this game fleshes out its gameplay styles overall. Except there's no platforming though. That's the thing. I really wish that they could have had platforming segments, but I guess no, you can't have platforming, I guess, in this game. Anyway, let's move on. What about how is the game structured though when it comes to like how's the game, is there open world like is there a hub area like Battle for Bikini Bottom, or is there no hub area like the movie game and also Creature from the Krab, or there has a smaller hub world like True for Square? Well, unfortunately, this game has no hub area. It actually has a level map, a level world map. And basically how it's structured is that it has all the 14 levels, and basically it has also extra bonuses and stuff like that. So you don't expect too much from this, honestly. And like I said, I will say that for sure, honestly. So what is my positives with this game, you're probably wondering? Well, firstly, I think that the two puzzle maze levels are pretty fun, honestly, and so is the Squidward shooting level. Honestly, that one's pretty fun. I do like the musical bus level as well. I heard this was also in the DS version as well, so I had to probably get to that point because, like I said, I got a new copy of SQUAREPANTIS on DS, so I'm kind of halfway through the game. Anyway, let's move on. I think another thing that this game does also as well. Another thing I like about this game is pretty much the graphics of this game is also pretty cool as well. I do think it's based on the same engine as Creature and Battle for Bikini Bottom. So it's basically the same models, but except, just have less animations though. That's the thing. It has less animations than Creature from the Krusty Krab, which is kind of a downgrade, which I think that's kind of a downgrade compared to Creature, but I don't mind it all, honestly. I don't mind that, honestly. Anyway, let's move on. Um, I do think all the I do like how there's all the voice actors from the special is still in this game overall. Um, let's see what else I liked about this game. Honestly, let's see. Is there anything else I like? I like the score. I like the art room level, and so is the shooting for Mr. Krabs level. And so it's like shooting for money level. Honestly, that one is also pretty fun as well. I like that level, and the score art room level is also pretty fun. I'll say the Patrick Hammer level is also pretty fun in my opinion. Honestly, I like that level as well. And I do like the extra bonuses this game also has, like the mini games and stuff. That's pretty fun as well. Like extra mini games that this game has is pretty cool. And so it's cheat codes, concept art, and also its own shop, Creature from the Krusty Krab did as well. Man, I wish that more Spartan games had shops for the game. Honestly, I think only Creature from the Krab and so as I think Creature from the Krab and SQUAREPANTIS and probably Titans of the Tide only has shops though. I think those are the only three Spartan games that has shops in them. And that's pretty much it. The other Spartan games doesn't have shops in them for some reason, which is kind of strange. But I wish they could have done that in Rehydrated or the Cosmic Shake. But I guess they could have done. I guess they could have not done that. I guess. But I will say, Titans of the Tide didn't have much of a shop. It did have its own menu, honestly, which is kind of sad. I wish they had its own menu and stuff, where it has its own shop where you can unlock concept art. But oh well. And also, this is not the last fun game with concept art, but this is kind of one of the last ones that has concept art because the last fun game that had concept art, in my opinion, was Rehydrated. But if I had to say which is the most, but what was the last recent fun game that had concept art when it comes to original games? That was true for Square though. That was the last one that had concept art. While future games doesn't have any concept art at all. It does not. I will say that for sure. They do not have concept art. Not even Cosmic Shake or Titans of the Tide have concept art. Which is kind of sad in my opinion, because they could have had some concept art shown off in the actual game, but I guess they didn't have time to, so I guess because they didn't have time, or because they just didn't, they just didn't really have much, they were kind of like working on most of the gameplay. They didn't bother to add like any bonuses to the actual game overall. So, except for Fetch Questions and Cosmic Shake, and also Titans of the Tide. Okay, so never mind about let's just move on. Also, there's also this feature where you can do arcade mini games. That's also pretty fun. Oh yeah, the driving level in the bus driving level is also pretty fun as well. I like that level as well. That's pretty fun level. I think another thing I think the last thing I like about this game is the arcade mini games and also the SpongeBob Spareface game, SpongeBob Spareface thing where you can dress SpongeBob whatever you want. Honestly, that's pretty fun. And as for the arcade games, I think Slurpee Shooter is my favorite out of the arcade games overall because this one is pretty fun in my opinion. I like it a lot. It's fun, creative, and kind of cool. Kind of reminds me a lot of the 8-bit segments in the actual episode. But, okay, that's enough on the positives, so let's get into the negatives of this game. Oh boy, I have a few of them, honestly. So, one is the tank levels. I will say the tank levels is basically the worst of the game overall. They're not fun, they're not creative, you're just shooting stuff, and that's all you do. That's all you do in this level. Like, it's just boring and forgettable. I hate controlling tanks. I will admit for Friend 907 that I hate controlling tanks in games because they're so boring and forgettable. I've watched Friend 907 review of this game, and I have to agree. There is some things. There is some negative. He still likes this game no matter what. Honestly, and he still thinks the game is decent. Honestly, while I am more positive about this game overall. So yeah, let's move on. I do recommend watching his video though, because I think he has a good argument for this game overall. So let's move on. Another thing that I think this game does wrong is the first camera level, where you're in the museum. That level is boring as well. I thought it was kind of just, it's just annoying honestly in my opinion, because you don't have much to really work with, and it just kind of is boring as well. It's boring, forgettable, and kind of bland. Like, it's just kind of lame. It's just a lame level overall. And don't get me started on some of the rhythm levels, honestly. You know the one. The Toward Trouble level is literally characters walking to inside Atlantis, and that's all you do. And that's all you do in this level. It's just boring, monotonous, notorious, just terrible. It just, you could have had a platforming stage in this level, but no, you had to do it a rhythm game section, a mini game. You had to make it a rhythm level? Come on now. And I can also say the same for the other rhythm levels in this game. Such as the Plankton sneaking into Atlantis level. That level for Plankton. That level is also pretty boring as well. You're just doing time things. It's just boring and forgettable. Like, man, this level is just boring, honestly, in my opinion. And the final level for this game, the final credits level, that's also probably one of the weaker levels. For being also kind of boring. It's just a bunch of presses while going through the credits of this game. Overall, I think this game is just overall, I think these levels are the worst of the game overall. They're the things that really hold back this game from being my favorite. As I said, I think this game overall, I still think these levels kind of hold back the game for me, honestly. Also, this game is very short. Like, I wish this could have had some elements from the DS and probably the SQUAREPANTIS Square Off game, because I think those element levels, because I think if they added more content in this game, maybe this would have been not as short as I think it is. Because I think I think this is overall like a 3-hour game overall, or at least 4 hours. And this game doesn't really take you that long to beat, honestly, because this game is based on a 40-minute episode, so it's kind of, well, except if you just conclude the patchy parts, it's mostly 32 minutes long. So this is kind of what I expect from a tie-in that's based on this episode overall. And I will say that even despite all the flaws I give in this game, I think I still love this game, honestly. I still think it's a good game that has a lot of good elements that is based on the source material. I think overall, this might be better than the actual episode itself. And I can proudly say, this game has a lot of good qualities. I think it's overhated, and I think this game needs more love right now, because despite the console version being weaker than the DS or GBA version, I think this one needs more appreciation from the fan base. Because I think that people need to stop complaining that it's not a 3D platformer, or it's not like Creature from the Krusty Krab, honestly. Because who cares if it's not like Creature from the Krusty Krab? I mean, I think I prefer the structure of this game compared to that game, because for one, is because that game had unfocused gameplay styles that kind of overall, that I feel like that game has unfocused gameplay styles that goes left and right. Well, this game is more structured, better structured overall. Because at least you have I wish that they could have done like something. I wish they could have stick to one gameplay style throughout the whole game, one gameplay style for each level in that game to make it more ingestible. But I think this game does a better job at that, because I think this one has focused on one gameplay style throughout the whole level, and I think it has variety. That's the thing. Sure, Creature from the Krusty Krab also has variety as well, but that's because that one also had like I said, that one had unfocused gameplay styles that overall kind of makes me confused, honestly, of what it wants to be like. Well, this one is more structured, like it was more structured perfectly, honestly. But I do think it's a downgrade compared to Creature, because I think the gameplay styles of that game is more better than this game, honestly. Besides the puzzle the puzzle levels, those are really fun to play through, and the shooting levels as well. The shooting, Sandy using her shooting weapon to shoot up either money or guards is kind of fun too. And so is the bus rhythm game level, and so is the driving level in driving to Atlantis level. Those levels are really fun. And also the art level and the Patrick, being behind the camera level as well. So there is some good stuff here. There is some good stuff in this game overall. I just think that people need to stop complaining. It's not a 3D platformer like the other ones. And I will say this for now. Even though I love the DS version, I still have some appreciation for the console game for at least trying to be better than the actual episode. It's not Blitz Games' fault for making this game overall. It's Nickelodeon for greenlighting this game in the first place, because they wanted to have a tie-in to the actual episode, even though the episode's not very good in my opinion. It's kind of a similar situation to I have with like True for Square, where I noticed the game was a little rushed because Nickelodeon wanted to have a tie-in to the actual episode. But you don't hear people complaining about you don't hear people be too harsh about True for Square, honestly. Which I'll do a video about True for Square in the near future. But as for right now, I'm doing SQUAREPANTIS for right now. So, SQUAREPANTIS overall is a good game that has a lot of good qualities. Even though it has some bad qualities in there, I still enjoy this game, honestly. And I'm gonna give SQUAREPANTIS on console a rating of a 7 out of 10. It's a solid game that has a lot of good gameplay styles. It has better structure than Creature from the Crab. Even though it's a downgrade compared to that game, I still appreciate it for what it wants to be like. And I do think it needs more appreciation and respect from the fan base overall. Because we can all agree it's better than the actual episode itself, honestly. Some people say it's worse than the actual special, which I think that's biased towards I think that's honestly kind of a little harsh. Because I don't think it's even worse than the actual episode. Honestly, I think SQUAREPANTIS overall has a lot of just good stuff in there, and I think it just needs more appreciation. Maybe one of my friends probably shares my same opinion, honestly, of SQUAREPANTIS on console. Because like I said, I think this game needs more appreciation in the Smart fan base overall. I'm gonna probably say the same thing for True for Square as well. But this game needs more appreciation from the fan base instead of always hating on it for being a downgrade compared to another game, honestly. Because I think I call that nostalgia bias. Because, like I said, people complain about True for Square being downgrade compared to Battle from Bikini Bottom in the movie game. But honestly, I feel like that game still can stand out for being its own standalone game overall. It doesn't need to pull everything from Battle for Bikini Bottom or the movie game, in my opinion. And I think that SQUAREPANTIS doesn't have to be like Creature from the Crab all over again, honestly. Because I feel like that would be like just doing the same thing, but with an episode tie-in game. So I'm glad SQUAREPANTIS is something new for the franchise overall. And I do appreciate for what it tries to do, honestly. It just tries to be better than the actual episode. But if I had to recommend which version of SQUAREPANTIS on console I would prefer, I would say go for the PS2 version because the Wii version has motion controls. It's sort of a similar situation to Creature from the Krusty Krab, where the PS2 version outright strikes all over the other versions of the console game. Because it has better controls and it has overall better visuals. I'm not saying the Wii version of this game is bad, or Creature from the Krusty Krab Wii version is bad. I'm just saying that I prefer the PS2 version overall, which I don't own anyway. I used to own the PS2 version of SQUAREPANTIS, but I don't know where it went, honestly. It's probably somewhere. It's probably in storage or something. I'm not sure. So yeah. Overall, SQUAREPANTIS has a lot of good stuff, and I think that it needs more appreciation from the fan base overall. I want more people. I do want to see more people actually like this game more. So if you guys think this review is good, comment down below what your thoughts on SQUAREPANTIS video game. Because tell me what your experience with this game overall. Because I want to know. Maybe you guys like this game. Maybe you guys think this game is an underrated gem. I don't know. Maybe it could be something like you guys pretty much like. And tell me what your experience with this game, honestly. People say the DS version, which I have right here. I have the DS. I used to have another cartridge of this game somewhere. I just don't know where it went. But basically, I used to own a copy of this game, and I will say I had more fun with this version than the console game overall. And I do like the console version, but I think the DS version is a 10 out of 10 for sure. Like, I love the DS version so much. I think it's the best version of the game. It has the best visuals, the best 3D gameplay, the best platforming of the games, of the tie-in games to this episode. And I think it's overall just a good episode. I just think it's overall good video game overall. A good, solid, amazing video game. So that's it for my review of Atlantis SQUAREPANTIS. I think this game just needs more appreciation. Okay, I've been saying that a lot. I'm meaning it for sure, because I think this game needs more appreciation. So, like I said, tell me in the comments below, what's your thoughts on Atlantis SQUAREPANTIS video game? Maybe you guys like this game just as much as me do. Maybe you guys hate this game like other people do. Maybe you're like Fred907 who actually thinks this game is decent. I don't know. If you guys like the DS version better, tell me in the comments below. So yeah. If you guys like the DS version, I don't mind that, because I like the DS version too. I just think that it's not my favorite one DS game. That would go to True for Square, which I'll talk about in another video. I also own all versions of True for Square now, so that's something. Anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you guys subscribe. Comment down below, like I said, comment down below what your thoughts on Atlantis SQUAREPANTIS video game. And I'll see you guys next time. And also, comment down also what your thoughts on both the console, GBA, and DS version, because I want to see what you guys' thoughts on them. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Cartoon Retro Boys out.